Cody Rhodes will turn heel? Jericho is coming back to WWE? And AJ Lee will compete again? These are the latest wrestling news you need to know, so make sure to subscribe and let's dive right in with our first story.
Let's talk about Chris Jericho's WWE return gaining serious momentum. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reported on October 24th that as Chris Jericho's AEW contract winds down, sources in a number of national and global level companies have told them they have interest in Chris Jericho, and among them is WWE. Jericho's current AEW deal is set to expire at the end of 2025, and he hasn't appeared on AEW television since April, marking his longest absence since signing with the company in 2019. According to Fightful Select, one WWE source claimed Jericho would almost certainly be offered several $1 million per year if he were to return to the company, and they believe AEW could likely match such an offer. However, it remains unclear what Jericho's personal priorities are at this stage of his career. What makes this even more interesting is that WWE higher-ups have reportedly brought up Jericho's name in discussions, and one WWE staff member told Fightful that they felt like his mentions and references on WWE TV and the reaction from the audience was a good sign for his interest. Dave Meltzer has also suggested that Jericho could return to WWE for a retirement tour and a Hall of Fame induction, which would be a fitting capstone to his legendary career. For his part, Jericho posted on X on October 2nd to celebrate 35 years since his first match, writing, "I have had a wonderful, amazing, one in a million career since then, and the good news is, it ain't over yet." Honestly, Jericho would be great as a manager or a producer, and of course he can have his last match in WWE. The man is 54 years old and has done it all in wrestling. A final WWE run where he puts over young talent, manages a stable, or even produces matches backstage would be perfect for him at this stage. Cody lost it again on SmackDown and had no clue how to react when Drew McIntyre brought up the whole Jacob Fatu attack. I'm starting to think there's something shady going on. On the October 17th episode of SmackDown, Jacob Fatu was found bloodied backstage with his teeth knocked out just minutes before his #1 contenders match against Drew McIntyre. Drew immediately denied any involvement and declared himself the winner by forfeit, which sent Cody Rhodes into a rage. The WWE champion, still wearing his suit, stormed the ring and demanded an impromptu title match. The chaos ended with Cody blasting Drew in the face with the WWE Championship, getting himself disqualified, and then diving onto a pile of bodies to send McIntyre packing. But here's where things get interesting. Cody's reaction has been way too emotional, and a lot of people are thinking that Cody is the one who actually attacked Jacob Fatu. Fans on social media have been pointing out that Cody's aggressive behavior doesn't match his usual babyface persona. He's been wearing darker colors, using the championship as a weapon, and showing zero restraint when it comes to Drew McIntyre. Some are even speculating that this could be the start of his heel turn, with Cody attacking Fatu to frame McIntyre and justify his own violent actions. Others believe Randy Orton could be the real culprit, setting up a future feud with Cody after the Viper has been teasing a heel turn for months. Drew continues to plead his innocence, even yelling, "I didn't do it," while choking out Jimmy Uso with a chair on the October 24th episode of SmackDown. But with Fatu expected to be out until early 2026 due to a dental injury, WWE has plenty of time to drag out this mystery and build toward a massive reveal. What do you think? Is Cody the one who attacked Jacob Fatu, and is this the start of his heel turn, or is someone else pulling the strings? Now, let's talk about Liv Morgan's WWE return timeline after her shoulder surgery. According to PW Insider, WWE insiders are projecting Liv Morgan's in-ring return for early 2026 after being sidelined since June with the separated shoulder injury. Morgan suffered the injury during a match against Kairi Sane on the June 16th edition of Raw, which required surgery and brought her career-best run to a sudden halt. The expectation within WWE is that Morgan could potentially make her comeback at the Royal Rumble in January 2026, which is being held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the first time. This would be the perfect stage for her return, especially considering Morgan is reportedly one of the most popular WWE stars in Saudi Arabia and would likely receive a massive pop from the crowd. There's also the possibility of an earlier return if she progresses faster than expected in her physical rehabilitation, but nothing definitive has been heard about it. Dominic Mysterio, Morgan's on-screen boyfriend, recently told Clutch Points that Liv's doing great and is doing rehab 3 to 4 times a week, with her shoulder healing well and stitches from the surgery coming out soon. WWE is reportedly very excited about Morgan's eventual comeback and is expected to keep her return closely guarded to create a major surprise moment when it happens. Many fans are already speculating that Morgan could win the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble and challenge for a championship at WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. With Roxanne Perez taking her spot in the Judgment Day during her absence, there's also potential for a babyface turn and a retribution storyline. What do you guys think? Should Liv Morgan win the Royal Rumble and main event WrestleMania? Next, let's talk about the men's War Games match at Survivor Series, and honestly, it's not a bad idea, but let's get it straight. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the men's War Games match will still be a CM Punk and Roman Reigns team against the Vision-led team. With Seth Rollins officially out of action following shoulder surgery, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed have taken over leadership of the Vision, and they're reportedly adding Brock Lesnar and Austin Theory to round out their 5-man team. On the babyface side, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, and Jacob Fatu are confirmed, with either LA Knight or Jimmy Uso filling the 5th spot. And while this sounds like an absolute star-studded match on paper, there's a growing concern that WWE is once again forcing War Games into the show just for the sake of doing it instead of building toward a traditional Survivor Series elimination match. Which is not a bad idea, but let's get it straight. They should bring back the traditional 5-on-5 elimination match to avoid them booking themselves into a corner and just doing a match for the sake of doing a match. War Games is an incredible stipulation when it's used properly, but Survivor Series was built on elimination matches for decades. War Games is awesome when it makes sense, but forcing it every year just because it's Survivor Series feels lazy. WWE should bring back the traditional format and save War Games for when it's truly necessary. What do you guys think? Do you prefer War Games at Survivor Series, or do you miss the classic elimination tag matches? Next, let's talk about AJ Lee being featured on the Netflix banner for the November 17th episode of Raw at Madison Square Garden. AJ Lee is currently featured on the Netflix banner for the November 17th episode of Raw at Madison Square Garden, and honestly, I think WWE should book AJ Lee winning the Royal Rumble because she is the perfect candidate. Since returning to WWE in September after a decade away, AJ has been heavily featured on Raw and SmackDown, reigniting her feud with Becky Lynch through the CM Punk and Seth Rollins rivalry. She's already proven that she still has what it takes in the ring, winning her return match at WrestlePalooza alongside Punk in a mixed tag team match. WWE has been positioning her as a major player in the women's division, and with the Royal Rumble coming up in January, this is the perfect time to give her a massive moment. AJ Lee winning the 2026 Women's Royal Rumble would be one of the biggest feel-good stories in WWE history. She's a 3-time Divas champion, a former longest reigning champion in the title's history, and one of the most beloved female wrestlers of the 2010s. Her return has been met with overwhelming fan support, and having her win the Rumble and headline WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas would be a career-defining moment. Plus, it would set up an incredible storyline where she could challenge for the Women's World Championship and finally get the WrestleMania moment she never had during her first run. With names like Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky also in the mix, the women's division is stacked, and AJ Lee winning the Rumble would add even more star power to the WrestleMania card. What do you guys think? Should AJ Lee win the Royal Rumble, or is there someone else you'd rather see get that spot?